Hello, everybody, and welcome to the January 3rd, 2023 iteration of the Kubernetes SIG-Windows community meeting. As always, these meetings are recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so be sure to adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct. We're just coming off of some US holidays here, so kind of might be a little bit slow today, but let's get started. First set of announcements that I added are the release schedule for 127 is mostly finalized. I've added some of that here. The release cycle officially begins next Monday. And next kind of important deadline is enhancements freeze, which is on Thursday, February 9th. It looks like targeting the April 11th for the 127 release. There's been a couple of emails that went out to Kubernetes dev with more information if anybody is looking for that. One other announcement is there is a release team shadow application that closes today. If anybody's interested in shadowing any one of the release roles, it's a good way to get involved with the release process and get to know more people. There's a link to an email with more details if anybody's interested. Just make sure to do that today before it closes. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to announce? Not, we can give some space if there's any new contributors who want to say hi. Looking at the attendee or participants list, though, I think everybody knows who everybody is. But if anybody wants to, just feel free to say hi. Now we can go into some agenda items. All right, first agenda item, James, there's a pull request.
Yeah, so sorry, lost my voice last week. I'm just getting it back. 122 is no longer supported, and Fabian was able to get some of the PRs merged to be able to have a really good guide to getting started with host process containers. And so I want to get rid of all of the Docker shim stuff that we had in there. It was using wins and kind of a couple different hacks that enabled usage for that. And so since we don't really support Docker shim anymore, and we have now a working host process container guide, I was hoping to get rid of this. So I just wanted to open it up and let folks know this has kind of been broken for a while because people were trying to use it with containerd and it didn't work. And bunch of stuff like that. So I think it'll just simplify a lot of this to not have it in there and avoid confusion.
So that means we'd no longer be making some of the flannel images and things like that too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that there were a couple of folks who were requesting a new release with updated flannel images. We'll probably want to at least tag them on the PR for that. But other than that, yeah, I'm all for removing old code. So I guess if anybody has any concerns, please speak up.
Yeah, I mean, the code will still all be there tagged with the latest release, which I think you did in December or something. So folks can still continue to use that. And then the next set, they'll have to move over to host process containers or maintain it themselves or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good timeline because host process containers were beta in 123. So if they need to, they can use that or hopefully go to 126 where they're stable.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to say thanks to Fabian for pushing through and working on those guides. I know it was a long slog, but we got there. And somebody over the weekend said that they got it working. So thank you.
I see Jay just joined. Jay, do you know, does the SIG-Windows or Arvin, does the SIG-Windows dev tools, do they use host process containers for the networking stuff, or is it still using? Okay, that might be. Are you guys using the flannel images produced out of SIG-Windows tools for the non-host process containers scenario? This PR is removing building all of the non-host process container compliant images from SIG-Windows tools.
No, we should move. Calico is unnecessarily using PS1 scripts still. So we should move that to host process. Antria doesn't yet support host process. Flannel we never had to begin with. But I
Okay.
think I filed an issue to move Calico over to host process containers. If not, I'll file it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say that I've been using Calico, and I don't think we've ever used Flannel in the SIG-Windows DevTools.
Did we ever, I don't think we ever built Calico images for non-host process container scenarios in this repository, right? So I think we'll be okay. It's just if you guys were using Flannel.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I think with Calico, there's some Calico, like as Jay was saying, there's some Calico PowerShell scripts that we run. That's where all that setup was happening. And I think Jay's suggestion is move that to host process containers.
Yeah, issue 217. So if anybody wants to pair on it or anything, let me know. I'm happy to help with it. If not, eventually we'll get around to it.
Yeah, and I guess this is my part of my master grand plan to get rid out of the business of building CNIs. So the next step would be to get some of the work that we have here really is like stable in Calico, as well as maybe Flannel, and have them building and publishing images. And then maybe we could just provide some of the glue around, like, hey, this is how this works. And so this is a good first step of getting rid of a lot of that older stuff.
And I think equally important is kubeproxy, which we're hoping to move out of tree. We had the request to.
Oh, we're getting the repo today. I just talked to Nikita.
Okay, good. I was going to say we opened up a request to get a repository for that work in mid-December, but I think folks were probably out of office. So I was going to try and follow up, but sounds like Jay did. So I think that's the two kind of different work streams for moving a lot of the image building stuff out of the SIG-Windows tools. Is that dedicated Windows service proxy repository, and then the different CNIs, which would be great if weren't all maintained by SIG-Windows in this repository. So should we drop a comment on that here too, Jay, that we would want to probably target the new out of tree Windows service proxy?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go for it. And then, so actually, while we're on that subject really quickly, I've made a couple of PRs into KPNG to make it extremely readable for new people, specifically because I know we're going to try to adopt it. And so one of them merged, another one should be merging soon. It should be self-documenting. And then I just need to find Doug, and then we're going to take over Doug's PR to get all the code for the initial drop of a standalone version of Windows proxy for KPNG. And I think we should be able to have that by the end of the week. And then we can start migrating the code over.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I think we also should ask like David and some of the other people who've been working on it to make sure that all of the fixes that have been going into kubeproxy for Windows have made it to KPNG codebase too, just so we don't have some drift there. I mean, I see in the chat, Fabian also said we should probably work on this. So I'll bring this up too. On the same side with us, we should check this in too. Let me take a look at the history of this and see what this is.
This updates the scripts for the build of kubeproxy for host process. I mean, the scripts only build like six images, and updated to build like all images from 123 to present, in case somebody wants to use a specific version, since on the images are not built.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take a look at this too. And we should. I believe that I added a GitHub action to that repository to make sure that we have to make sure that we have all of the image kubeproxy images, but it'd be good to have that all automated too. Where's actions? Is this? Oh, no, that builds in push. Oh, and it failed. Let's see what's going on with that. Okay, yeah, so this GitHub action should check to see if we have all of the images for each release. So which one is missing? Looks like 122.5. Okay, I'll follow up with this later too. Something's going on with this unsupported manifest format. But that'll be good to get everything all done. Oh, and then I see, yeah, Claudio just commented, said we should, at the very least, we should update the official docs. And that was the next agenda item that I had on here was, what do we want to do with the docs? Because I think initially the Kubernetes.io website had a pretty big guide on how to add join Windows nodes to it, and then that got removed and moved into the SIG-Windows tools repository, and I think we should go and link that back. So I think we've talked about that before, but I can probably take a look and do that too, unless somebody else wants to. Does anybody want to try and do that, figure out the best spot to link back to the SIG-Windows tools documentation that we have? Nope. Okay, if somebody gets to it, we can do that later. All right, Arvind, do you want to give an update on the node log query?
Yeah, sure. So I basically have rewired everything through the API server now.
Okay.
And seems to be working. I have not been able to test this on Windows because I still haven't figured out how to update the API server on SIG-Windows DevTools. Because so far everything was just kubelet and kubectl, and so it was easy. But now I'm updating API server also, and I'm not sure. So I still need to figure out how to update the API server on SIG-Windows DevTools, because I think they use an image that's already pre-built, and that's what's getting used there. So we would need to like update SIG-Windows DevTools to also build the API server in addition to like kubeadm, kubectl, and all those other things, and use it. I looked at it, I couldn't figure out an easy way to do it. So I used local up cluster to test all of this. So I know it works on on the Linux side, but the Windows side, I still need to figure out how to test it.
So if you just need a new API server, I guess the worst case scenario is you could just switch the image out
In the deployment, yeah.
after it's running, right? Just go into
Yeah, so-
Kubernetes manifest or something, right?
I see. So basically, on the current SIG-Windows DevTools environment I have, just update the image. Is that what you're saying? Like build the image, push it to some repo of mine, and then point to that image. Is that what you're saying, Jay?
I guess that's the simplest, dumbest thing you could do, right? Like just
Okay.
Will
Yeah,
that
just-
actually work with a one node cluster, like a one control plane cluster?
yeah, it's just in etc manifest, right? Etc Kubernetes manifest, the API server is defined there, right? So if you just change the image in there, it'll restart it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it should work.
All right. I'll give that a
But
shot.
you do bring up a good point, which is it'd be nice if we had a way to point everything at a branch and literally build everything all in one. That would be
Yeah.
kind of cool.
I think we do. I thought there was.
I thought there was too, but
Yeah.
maybe it only did the kubelet and we never
Correct.
cared about anything else.
Or maybe
Yeah,
it builds
it did-
everything and doesn't wire the
Yeah.
rest of it up.
Because
Yeah,
the
it only
kubelet's
does-
easy because it's a local executable, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it does kubelet, kubeadm, kubeproxy, but it doesn't do control plane or whatever the API server.
Oh, so it swaps out kubeproxy.
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
That's what I
Just on the
remember
Windows
off the top of my head.
nodes, I'm guessing.
On the Linux side too.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I should go back and check, but I do remember all of that getting built.
Cool. I mean, if anything, file an issue and I'll take a look at it. If there's an issue there.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so I've done it. If you folks have some time, just take a look about. There's a kubelet thing which I think might be a hack, but I'm not fully sure.
And then
then what
have you considered, like, should we try and get some time from Tim Hawken? I think he had that big process update about how to get some time for him to do a face-to-face code review. I wonder if that would be helpful here.
Oh, was that one of the options?
I thought it was, or maybe that was a proposed option with, I don't know how to do that, but I'll have to dig up that email that he sent to KDev.
Should we just ask him to
Yeah.
come to SIG-Windows next week?
We could do that, or just ask if we could do some time pretty early in the cycle to do the review.
Yeah, in fact, that's why I pushed really hard to get this even before the next dev cycle opened up, just to get this out there. I already tagged Jordan, who's the one who told me what to do,
Okay.
just to see, okay, did I follow all his instructions correctly, or did I mess something else up? And so that's the main PR. But on an aside, I think I got pinged by Mache about the 126 code base having the test that Fabian added
Oh,
without the feature actually being there. And Mache was like, you need to take this out. So I think Fabian had to go ahead and revert the PR.
and that's this PR. Okay.
Yeah. So I have pinged Fabian on the latest stuff to see. I think what we can try and do is, Fabian can open a PR and mark it clearly as work in progress or as a draft PR. And then I can keep pulling in the test from that PR.
Okay.
That's what I think is the best way forward, and try to get it all merged in one shot.
Yes, early in the release cycle.
Yes. So Fabian, whenever you have a chance, let me know. We can work together on that or something and pull that in. But I think the
Okay.
first step is to get Jordan to sort of say, okay, you're on the right track.
For the new for the API server, or for the API updates.
Yeah, for the API server updates that I've done.
Yeah.
And then we talked to Tim Hawken about the implementation, which is what he is pushing back on. So yeah, that's where I just want to give everybody an update early on in the year early on in the release cycle about this.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, I have found out many things. I have discovered how to work with API server. I have to thank our Red Hat has a person called Abu who works in the API server. He's the one who helped me out to say, okay, you can use this local up cluster and do the work, and that'll make testing easier and all that. Yeah. So if anybody else in SIG-Windows wants to do this in the future, ping me.
I love local up cluster, man. I mean, like, it just keeps it's the gift that keeps on giving.
And it's not been touched in like a long time. So I had to go and futz around with it a little bit to get it to do what I want, like add a feature gate and things like that. I had to futz around with it a little bit.
Yeah, it needs a rewrite. I mean, if folks are looking for something else to do as a good first issue, somebody going into local up cluster and just looking at what works and what doesn't. I remember the node local DNS was hard to get it working in there too. We were testing that.
Jay, that's not a good first issue. This is not a good first issue.
It's just a shell script. Okay, fine.
Have you seen that? Have you looked at that shell script? I looked at it. It is massive.
Yeah.
Right, that's it from me,
It's
folks.
huge. It's huge.
Cool. Does anybody else have anything to discuss today?
Regarding the adding Windows node to or the docs on this part, shall we add this page? I pointed it in the chat. Shall we add this page again? It's the old adding Windows node. I mean the updated one from the.
Yeah. So I think that just add like a little page that links to the SIG-Windows dev tools or SIG-Windows tools repository. We could try that. I think that so I know that they didn't want any like CNI specific details in the Kubernetes.io page, but a general page that links to other documentation would probably be accepted. It might be worth opening up a PR to try that and see what SIG-Docs says.
Yeah, they won't take, like, you can't just take that guide and move it into the docs here. They won't take that. That's what I tried initially 6 months ago. So.
But I think we did say in an issue that we do plan on like curating some better documentation or more documentation in the Kubernetes SIGs repository, which we've done, and the link to that. So yeah, I think it's really just finding the best spots, and SIG-Docs is probably going to have opinions on that. So maybe just try opening up a PR to add this back right here, but just with the content saying go look at the docs and SIG-Windows tools might be the easiest way to get the conversation started. Yeah. All right. Does anybody have anything else to discuss, or should we give everybody a couple minutes back? Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you all for contributing to SIG-Windows. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I can stick around for 15 or so if anyone wants to look at anything.
All right, I'm gonna
Otherwise-
stop the recording. I might stick around too.
Okay.